Hello everyone, welcome to Backseat VR Developer, where we are playing virtual reality titles alongside of the developers that have created them. I'm Alex VR, I am one half of Between Realities, and the other half is right here with me. It's Skeeva. Hey Skeeva, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great, man. How you doing today?
Excellent.
Awesome.
Having a blast, especially because it's an exciting one. We're going to be playing Space Slurpies today here on UploadVR, and joining us is Alexander Clark from Starcade Arcade. Hello, Alexander. What's up, man?
Hey there. Excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for making virtual reality games, because without people like you, games wouldn't exist for us to play, and this show certainly would not be a thing. So thank you for all your efforts.
You bet. We love it.
Absolutely. So, Space Slurpies, here I am at the title screen. What am I about to get myself into? What is Space Slurpies all about?
Yeah, Space Slurpies takes an old game concept, basically Snake in VR. So if you remember that old game on your Nokia phone, we thought about, all right, what would that look like in the VR space? How would that play out? And we set to make this very easy to play, arcadey multiplayer game.
Boom. So here it is. This is like a 6-DoF snake experience here. I've got the little Slurpee dude attached to my hand, and as I move my hand through the space, I'm munching on these little guys. Now, tell me about the game mode that I jumped into, right? Because this isn't exactly the original like Space Slurpees formula here, right?
Yeah, that's right. The original game mode has you competing against other snakes, and it's single elimination. If you hit something, your snake dies. But we actually got a lot of requests after we launched to make a more relaxing game mode. People said that they just wanted to chill in the Space Slurpees environments, eat little glowing edibles, grow their snake longer without the pressure of competition. And so we created this game mode called Zen mode. It's time-based, and you get more time by getting combos, going through rings, and if you accidentally hit yourself or hit one of the bad guys, it's a time reduction, not single elimination, so you don't have to restart.
So I've got 1:12 to basically rack up as many points as I can here, but if I bump into this boy, boom, there goes 10 seconds. Yep, I see.
Yep.
Nice. Awesome. So, this is great and nice and relaxing, but if you know me, I'm kind of a competitive guy, and I'm not really afraid of a challenge, so I wouldn't be the one to go straight into Zen mode. I'd be probably looking to set a high score there, or maybe jump into the multiplayer, right? There's a multiplayer mode in this game as well.
That's right. From the beginning, we wanted to make sure that there was multiplayer, and it's even cross-platform. I don't think people realize that, but you can play on any headset with your friends.
Cool. So if I'm on a Quest and Alex is on an Index, we can play each other in multiplayer.
That's right. And if one of your friends is in China, they can play on their Pico headset as well.
Wow. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what headsets Space Slurpees is on and available on?
Yeah, Space Slurpees is on the most headsets out of all of our games, and we tried to put it on basically every major headset and every major arcade that we could. So that includes it's on Steam for PC VR users, Windows Mixed Reality. It's on Oculus App Lab Store for your Quest, as well as Rift Store. And then it's even shipping in China, so it's on the Pico headset, as well as the Nolo VR headset. And then many of the arcades, one example would be like Springboard VR. So we're trying to put Space Slurpees everywhere.
Cool. That's awesome.
And then even commercial headsets. So we were launch partners with HTC on the Vive Focus 3 and on the immersive glasses, the Vive Flow.
Wow. That's really awesome. So you can play on any headset minus PlayStation VR?
That's the only one we're missing.
Okay.
Yep.
So any other headset, and you can play together with your friends and all be on the same map together and compete together and smack talk and yell at each other. And
Dude, I'm loving this Space Slurpee party, man. Like, this is just nothing but good vibes over here.
That's right.
I swear I saw one of these Space Slurpees twerking.
You did.
Look at this.
Yeah, he's shaking his booty at you.
Dude.
Yeah, they don't do it that often, but every now and then they get a little frisky. In fact, it's funny, little bit of a Easter egg story for you. We had some professional marketing consultation at one point that Oculus helped set us up with, and they had an issue with the way the Slurpees were dancing. They were like, I don't think you should have Slurpee, your worms twerking and grinding. They're like, this game looks like it was designed for kids, and if you want it to be family friendly, you might want to tone back some of those wormy dance moves. And we were just like, well, I don't think people under VR are supposed to play VR. People under 12 are supposed to play VR anyway, so
Boom.
we left it in.
The twerking
like
stays.
Twerking slurps. Yep.
Twerking slurps. That is the title, man. That's what it should have been called, I think. Twerky
Twerking
Slurpees.
slurps.
So this is the more like traditional Space Slurpees experience right here, right? Like there's other slurps in
Yes.
here, and we're kind of fighting over these things, and eventually I'm going to be trying to eliminate these guys.
Yeah, that's right. So it's like a mini battle royale. Watch out for the other snakes.
Oh!
Try not to hit yourself. Ooh.
I did. I hit myself. All right, let's see.
You got last place.
And
Come on, I expect better of you.
Shh, you didn't see nothing.
Ouch.
You didn't see nothing. Man, there's a bunch of different levels here, and it looks like you have to unlock these as you go. Is that what's happening here? That's unlock. You have to unlock
Yeah.
that.
You collect stars. We got the inspiration. I really like Trackmania's unlock structure, where once you unlock a certain number of stars, you unlock those maps. And then once I think it's if you get gold star, that's when you unlock the modifiers. So you can replay the map with different modifications, whether number of edibles, big head slurps, double slurp, which is one on each hand. Or
Yeah, this is
even like a
one-handed right
time-based-
now. I like that. I like how I can just drop a controller and kind of feel a little bit liberated and free here.
Yeah, the double slurp mode, I guess that's for pure like professionals only, because even I have a hard time. It's very hard to coordinate two snakes at the same time.
Slurpee professionals only for two-hand mode.
Yeah, pro slurpers.
So how did this happen? Like, where was the inspiration for this? Like, I know you mentioned it's kind of like Snake in VR, but like, when did you guys realize that you were going to make this game?
Yeah, we actually came up with the idea while in South Korea. We were at the biggest game convention in South Korea called G-Star, and we were showing our first game, Star Blazer, which it's a space strategy game in VR, which RTSs are by nature complex, and then trying to get something like that to play in VR was both difficult to develop as well as teach players. And the problem we ran into is most of the people playing our game in South Korea spoke Korean. And aside from like hello and thank you, we did not speak Korean. And so we had a really hard time showing off Star Blazer. And that's when we began this conversation of like, is there a game we can make that's just so simple we could literally just put a controller in somebody's hand and they would figure it out? And that's when we came upon the idea of Space Slurpies. We said, all right, well, if you have a snake on your hand and it gets longer and longer, kind of like you're waving a long sock through the air or a long flag, and then like people would understand that intuitively. It's very easy motion, and just by playing, you'd figure out how to play the game without any kind of language barrier or explanation.
Boom. You see, I got a lot more aggressive that time.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna get my slurp on for realsies.
there's your pro slurping skills.
That's
I knew you
it.
had it in you.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. I needed you to believe in me. That's what I needed. So I know I didn't. It's great that you made a game that can kind of just be picked up and played. But I do have to say I really like this little tutorial button. Like you don't like force me to go through it, and I can just pop this up, make sure that I'm like kind of not missing anything. You know, get that like detailed explanation. It's good.
Yeah. Our hope is that it's a little bit of a delighter, and it's there if people want to, prepare themselves before going straight into the slurping, get an idea of what the game's about.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, we get to show off Orbit. She's in every game and kind of a big title character for our studio.
Just like the Starcade arcade mascot.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Oh yeah, there's like continuity between your titles, right? Like they all kind of exist in the same universe.
Absolutely. They exist in the same universe. So even if you look at these titles right here, there's a lot of nods to previous games. Like Popper Plaza was from, it like has the same environment as Virus Popper. There's several environments that directly point back to Space Slurpies and Star Blazer and across the different titles. So they're actually all in the same shared universe.
Should I be trying to knock these guys out like ASAP, or is there like a benefit for me to like get super long before I crush someone?
If you're going for a high score, then you don't want to eliminate them immediately, because if you eliminate them immediately, then the game would end and you don't get as high of a score as you could.
I see.
But
Can you tell
then
us,
you increase the risk.
Can you tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about? So you talked about kind of making this like an easy game, like an old Nokia phone game, like Snake, right? Where did the design, how you design these snakes? Where did the inspiration come from how they look and the environments that you play in and the enemies?
That's an awesome question. So let me talk about the snakes and I'll talk about the environments. So for the snakes, that took a few iterations because a lot of people have an understandable phobia when it comes to snakes and worms, and seeing them around you in a VR space could be unsettling, right? And so the first few designs of the Slurpees I showed to a lot of my squeamish family members and was like, what do you think of this design? And they'd say, that's too scary. I wouldn't want that thing flying through space towards me. And so we tried to get something that was very cute, very friendly, and very lovable so that it's not intimidating. And then for the environments, the biggest inspiration would actually come from like K-pop music videos, believe it or not.
Wow.
Because I love the color grading in K-pop music videos. If you watch any of them, they have these like wonderful backgrounds. A lot of it is CGI, different types of environments, or just amazing set pieces. And they have, I would say, very saturated light as well as very good color combinations that are aesthetically pleasing. You know, so like here, like the pink and the teal going together and all the neon elements, things like that. We actually got a lot of inspiration from those types of videos.
That's great. I would not have guessed that it came from K-pop music videos.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you, Alexander, I'm going to keep it real with you, all right, if that's okay.
Go for it.
When I first kind of came across this game, Space Slurpies, I kind of wrote it off. You know, like I took a look at it and I was like, you know, that how much fun could that really be? You know, if I'm being completely honest. And I came into it and all of a sudden, like 20 minutes went by, 30 minutes went by, and I actually found myself really enjoying it. Is that something that you've kind of heard from people other than me? And what's it like to kind of hear me say something like that about your game?
Yeah, at this point, yeah, I'm very used to hearing something like that. It was frustrating when we first launched. In fact, there was a major VR podcast where a group of influencers were laughing at our game and said, this doesn't move VR forward just by looking at it without actually trying it. And so things like that are frustrating when, you know, you're putting your personal savings into trying to start a VR company. But then what we realized was it did just take people trying the game and giving it a chance to find that it was fun, addicting, and then actually beautiful once you're inside of it. The best example of this is like we have over-the-top reviews. I mean, this is just quantifiable fact. If you go to any of the stores right now, they are all extremely high positive top reviews. Like Oculus Quest, for instance, on App Lab. Every single review as of this point is a 4 or 5 star. There's only 1 star, and that's only because he loved the game but didn't like a change we made in the patch, so not going to count that one. That's just a fan trying to push his way with the developers. But so other than that, like everybody who plays it really enjoys it and appreciates it. It's just the struggle's on us to try to get it in the hands of people and get them willing to try it out.
And it's almost like you guys have like 2 levels to that, you know, because that's cool. Because VR is almost like that in itself. You know, like you can see someone with a headset on, but it's only really when you get the headset on that you can like know what's going on and like really understand the experience. So, you know, a lot of us are seasoned VR folks, and we think we know what it will feel like to play a game just by like watching a stream or watching a trailer or whatever. But at the end of the day, you gotta experience it to really know.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing is not believing. It's being in it and experiencing it. That's the only way. So that's our biggest hope, is just that Space Slurpees spreads by word of mouth. That's why we think multiplayer is so important, is because we want the people that loved it and enjoyed it to play it with their friends and be like, no, really, try the crazy twerking slurp game.
So,
That's my favorite way to play is multiplayer. I'll tell you that. A good time. It really is.
You should put on like the big head modifier and some of that crazy stuff for us.
Let's do some big head.
Oh, do the slug slurps too.
All right, hold on. Let me see. Customize. Oh, no. I gotta go.
No, just any map with 3 stars.
Oh, you have to have 3 stars on it.
Yeah.
And then it opens up.
Yep.
I see. Big head.
You're like big head, slug slurps. You can do. Nah, you don't need never die.
No.
You're skilled.
Yeah, we got this. Ooh, there he is. Now, does like my hitbox increase when my head gets bigger too?
Little bit, yes.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Nice. And then what does Slug Slurp do?
So Slug Slurp, it's basically fat slurp mode, but we tried to be a little bit more politically correct.
Oh, I see.
Figured we call it slugs, but they get bigger instead of just longer as you eat. So if you look,
nice.
he's actually getting thicker and increasing his girth as well as his length.
He's getting girthy.
Yeah.
Nothing I like better than a girthy slurp. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody loves a girthy slurp.
So, we've, I like you said, I've played this game before, and we've known each other for a while, and this game definitely has a little bit of a special place in Skeeva and I's hearts. And why do you think that is?
I think there's a special map in here that you might have a connection to.
Maybe, just maybe, this baby right here. Oh, and look, you got 3 stars on it, because, who's not playing Raging Robots, right?
Yeah.
So this is really cool.
Yeah, do you want to explain this map?
Yeah, I will. So right here, everyone, this is a custom Between Realities Space Slurpies levels. It's actually a part of the game, and for us to look at, there's me, and there's Skeeva, and there's my high score, and this is actually the Between Realities ship right here, literally the exact Between Realities ship. And we have the character from our show here in here talking smack to you, and this is incredible for us. It's just amazing to have something like this in a game. When I was growing up, I never thought that I would see myself in a video game at all, but here we are. It's pretty amazing, man. Thank you for including us.
I love that. You bet. It's funny, you mentioned earlier, should I kill off the other slurps? And I was going to mention, this map specifically, you shouldn't, because what we did that was very unique for your map, I know you know this, but we should tell the people, is it's actually like a collaborative boss mode. So that score over towards your right on the screen, that's like a cumulative score. And if all 4 players reach the cumulative score of 7,500, that big robot will blow up and it'll destroy all the baddies. So it's interesting to try to play this one with friends and survive long enough to take out the big bad robot without ending the game too early and without dying yourself.
I'm going to do it right now. We're going to get it done. 7,500 points.
You do it. You just keep the combos going. That's the easiest way.
Keep the combos going. Keep my Slurpee friends alive. And
right.
And just not take any unnecessary risks. Try not to get too girthy. It's tough, but...
Yeah. You got this.
So Between Realities isn't the only video content creation people that you've collaborated with, huh? We got multiple maps in here from all different kinds of YouTubers and streamers. And who else do we have in here?
Another good example is VR Trends. That's the magazine, and they did a great job of supporting us when they were launching their magazine and helping get our content out there. Basically, you could say that of anybody in the VR Friends. They're just people that we wanted to thank for giving us a chance and including us in the VR community to help get our games out there.
One that I like a lot is one of my favorite VR podcasts is Rendered Realities Coffee in VR. And in the Space Slurpies map, you're playing at the bottom of a coffee cup. And if you look up, you see coffee being poured into the mug. You'll see Sean and Tyler's heads kind of poke poke over the coffee mug and look to see that there's space worms in there, which is super funny.
Oh yeah. Oh, I loved making that one too. Making that one was really fun with them because they're awesome. They're really humble. So when we were talking to them, they would like tentatively suggest ideas, and like everything was suggested with like, well, I don't know if we could do this, but it'd be awesome to be in a giant cup of coffee. And I was like, of course we could do this. Like, that's the point of programming and making video games. You can do whatever you want. So let's make it happen.
That definitely
Yeah,
sounds
that
like
was
Sean.
Yeah. So it's always fun working on those maps with our friends.
So what's been the focus lately? Have you been putting anything into Space Slurpies, or what's Starcade Arcade been busy with?
We do have plans for Space Slurpies. The biggest thing that's taken our focus right now, though, we have some unannounced plans for Space Slurpies, but I would say the biggest thing that we've been talking about is actually Star Blazer. Now, I mentioned that was our first game, and it was in PC VR. We are re-releasing that for mobile VR, and when we re-release it, huge changes. Basically, everything that everybody's asked for in terms of making it truly StarCraft in VR. I don't think I can get sued for saying that. I mean, let's be honest, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
We've included all those things people have asked for in terms of like building, resources, queuing. There's now more factions to play as, so you get like 3 factions to choose from, tons of ships, really improved, simplified gameplay. So it's like a much better version of what we originally wanted to try to create. And so that when we bring it to Quest and when we bring it to Pico, it's like the goal of the title that we really wanted. So we're excited about that, because then we'll have all 3 of our games out on mobile VR and
Nice.
available for people to play.
Nice. Here's the coffee cup that we were talking about. There's Tyler peeking in. We got the coffee flowing.
The Jazzoids are brutal on this one. They just like jump out of the coffee at you.
Oh, do the enemies have like different behavior based on which map you're on?
They do. There's different ones. So these pop out of the bottom. They're like swimming down there and they jump up to try to get you. Probably one of my favorite ones is the dragon. Danger Dragon, because you got these crazy Jazzoids dressed up like Vikings and they're swooping in on terrifying dragons while you're playing.
So not only do you have different levels with different design for the backgrounds and the maps themselves, but you have the enemies acting different, dressing different, different behaviors. So
We do.
Yeah,
Skeeva, why don't you
nice.
have this unlocked, man? Danger Dragon. I need this.
I'll teach you a trick. You can go to Zen mode and it should let you play it there.
But with no Jazzeroids, though.
They'll be in Zen.
They're in
They
Zen?
just won't kill you. They'll just deduct your time.
Oh, okay. Got it. Oh, yeah. Zen mode. Here we go. I want to see them.
I have a lot of time on the Quest build. Way more time than the Steam build. And it's funny because you guys were able to take 99.999% of this experience and port it over perfectly to the Quest and the Focus, because I've played the Focus 3 version as well. So all of the different versions that you would play for Space Slurpies are all going to be pretty much the exact same experience, which I think is pretty awesome.
The only one that's really different
Ooh,
is...
there it is.
Yeah, there he goes. It's the flow. The flow is a bit different just because, it doesn't use 6-DoF controllers. But all the other experiences are very much the same. And, that was very strategic on our part. I mean, let's be honest. I am the only developer for Starcade Arcade. Like, it's literally me that does all the coding at this point. And so we just have to be smart. And we want to make games that are easier to port. And if your headset has a controller and I can track the position of the controller, then I can port Space Slurpees to it. And that's, when one of the companies, I think it was actually HTC, talked to us, they're like, I think this should be pretty easy to port, right? Like, we thought about that. And I was like, yeah, that was the point.
Wow, so then what kind of challenges did you have when considering putting your game onto a headset that didn't have 6-DoF controls, when clearly this game is all about holding the slurp in your hand and moving the slurp through space to eat some of these things?
Yeah, that was a fun challenge. And, hats off to HTC. They're honestly like one of our best partners. Have been so supportive. Because on the Vive Focus 3, they came in and were like, I know it's like limited time, but do you think you can port? And I was like, can we do it by launch? And they're like, launch is in a week. I don't. And I was like, but can we do it by launch if I finish? And they're like, okay. So there was a Red Bull injected weekend to get that done. But when we pulled that off, I think we gained a lot of respect for HTC. So that's when they came to us with the Flow, and they said, like, real talk, we don't know how you would bring your game over to the Flow. Like, it's up to you. But if you can think of a creative way that uses this device and can port your game over, we would love to have it on there, because their focus was on well-being and relaxation. And while Space Slurpies is a game, it's not like a zombie killing stressful game. It's meant to be relaxing and chill. And they're like, we think this would be a great fit if you can think of a way to port it over. And we were like, challenge accepted. Let's think about that. And so it was just one of those prototype iterations of like, what would be the simplest way to control a snake? How do we change the gameplay and make it to something that works? So we use the tilt axis of the phone, and that like controls the direction of the snake, and it's moving at like a constant speed. Now what's interesting about that is that's actually closer to like the original Snake game design, because if you remember in the original Snake, you start at a certain speed, it's a constant rate. As you eat more, you go faster. Here, your speed is controlled by your hand. Alex is literally moving his hand. The faster he moves his hand, the faster the snake moves. But on the Flow version, your speed picks up the more you eat, which is an interesting challenge, but actually closer to like the original Snake gameplay.
Yeah.
So we're very happy with how it ended up.
Wow, cool. That's awesome.
So is there anything that we haven't really gotten to that's kind of important to make sure that everybody knows about Space Slurpies or Starcade Arcade and what you guys have been doing?
I think one of the things we're really proud of is our music. 100% of the music at all of our games is custom, and if you look up on Spotify and Apple Music, you can actually look up Starcade Arcade as an artist. All of our music is there, whether it's Star Blazer, Space Slurpies, Virus Popper, or future releases. It's all there, and that's just an artistic decision we made from the beginning, where we said, yes, we can license pre-made music. That's what a lot of indie games do, because it's the smart thing to do on a budget. But we don't want to be smart, we want to be special. So we work with talented musicians, like Chalk Dinosaur made the slappin' song Slurpy Worms, which is on the title screen.
It does slap.
And then James Joshua Otto, incredible composer out of London, makes like our instrumental soundtracks. SoundPal made some funky tunes like you're listening to right now. But we're just really happy that we get to work with those musicians and create such a rich library to go with the games.
Have you ever played Slither.io?
Absolutely.
That is where I am. I am in 6 DOF Slither.io, and I've realized that when you eliminate a Slurpee and he drops all of his edibles, and you like go and clean them up, like that reminds me so much of Slither.io for all of those who have played that browser-based snaky game.
Yeah, that was actually in the most recent patch too. Is somebody else suggested, they were like, when a snake dies, it should leave edibles. I think we even did a TikTok making fun of the fact that, yes, we know we stole that idea from Slither.io. But funny thing about game design, here's your fun legal fact for the day. It's both good and bad. Gameplay cannot be patented, copyrighted, or protected by law.
Pretty wild in the day of the digital age that you cannot copyright a game. Doesn't make sense to me. But
we can't copyright the gameplay.
Can't copyright the gameplay. You can copyright designs, you can copyright storylines, music, but when it comes to gameplay, anybody can steal from anybody.
Well,
which, I mean, that can suck, right? Or that can be helpful.
Well, it's kind of like genres of music, Like I can't rewrite your song, but if you're a heavy metal band and I like how you guys do your thing, then I can essentially be inspired by your band and make music that sounds similar, and not really breaking any rules by doing that.
Well, I think that triple star victory is probably the good place to call it, right? Like, I don't want to end this on an L. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Did you have something else for us?
I was curious, what Slurpee do you normally play as?
What, Slurpee?
Yeah, like which of the... Oh, you haven't unlocked.
Yeah, we don't have it all unlocked because Skeeva played all of his slurping on the quest.
No, you did. And we're on PC
Where's
right
my
now.
cheat code? Isn't there a cheat code I can put in to unlock all this stuff?
The Konami code? Does that work?
You know, maybe offline we have that conversation.
Ooh, heard that offline. Alexander Clark from Starcade Arcade. The game is Space Slurpies, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, UploadVR. My name is Alex VR. I am from Between Realities, as well as Skeeva, my buddy here. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you next time on Backseat VR Developer. Have a great day.